go now to Professor Mosa Moshabela, who is the Deputy Vice-Chancellor of Research and Innovation at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, joining us now for more reaction. So the state of disaster is finally gone, Prof. Moshabela, with certain transitional regulations set to remain in place. Overall, on a balance, what's your sense? The right step at the right time, calibrated at the right moment in the curve of the pandemic, or a tad too late, lagging behind, should have taken some of these decisions long time ago, or possibly even could have gone even further in lifting these restrictions?
Yeah, good evening to Lesizwe and JJ and the viewers. I think for me, from where I stand, the presentation from the President today was quite balanced and essentially ticks many of the boxes and begins to address some of the things that we've been concerned about. I think the fact that even the President included the option to do an antigen test at the airport shows that government is open to allowing people to come in for as long as they do not import new variants into the country and they can be tested at the airport. It really opens up opportunities. The emphasis on vaccine injuries and the scheme for vaccine injuries was also important. And I do think that, Lesizwe, the timing of it is appropriate in the sense that, it has been very difficult for everyone in the world to try and separate what we consider a disaster and the pandemic. I think all of us, we understand that we got into this thing because of the pandemic. The pandemic is not over, but at what point do we actually disentangle what are measures to manage a disaster and what are the measures to manage the pandemic? This has not been an easy path. Yeah. And of course, yes, we could argue that this could have been done a couple of months ago, but I just think that it has not been easy. But at this point where we are at, I think it's a bold move and it's a right one.
Very quickly, Prof, and as a final question to you, the transitional regulations that remain include the regulations we've had for the last week or so around gatherings. There have been many people who've been pushing to say, scrap these regulations around gatherings, this whole demand that people should show vaccination cards or a negative test that's not older than 72 hours, or else revert back to those limits of 1,000 indoors or 2,000 outdoors. What do you make of that?
No, I actually support the question around gatherings. I think that we need to regulate it, especially because we may have a fifth wave that we still need to manage. Right now, in the state that we are with low cases, it's easy to say that, oh, we can do away with it. But our vaccinations are still low. And, when we do have a disaster, there will be an expectation that we need to have measures to manage it. Personally, I think that we need to maintain the management of gatherings and to actually think about how to position ourselves even beyond the pandemic to make sure that we don't overcrowd our spaces in order to prevent the spread of any respiratory infection.
All right, Professor Mosa Moshabela, I've got to thank you for your time, always generous in sharing with his time and expertise.